Hello there. My name is Sean Sullivan. I'm a realtor here in Fort Worth, Texas. This channel is called the Regenerative Realtor. I've been learning about something called the urban heat island effect, and seeing as how it's about 100 degrees today here in Fort Worth, and there's a heat advisory warning out there. But I got to tell you, it is so much cooler in the shade versus being in the sun. Like, I could probably sit here and work all day long. If I have some water, if I have some Wi-Fi, it's not a big deal. But walk into the sunshine, with nothing between you and it becomes uncomfortable very quickly. So the heat island effect, to explain it simply, if basically the fewer trees you have and the more buildings and parking lots and roads and just the more concrete, the more asphalt roofs, these things that just kind of radiate the heat. What happens as a result of that is that it stays hotter for longer periods of time. So, but it does depend and vary, depending. That's why it's called a heat island effect. So it's not just like the whole city is an island, but it's portions of the city that are not as wooded, that don't have as many trees as other parts of town, or if it's if there's a lot of retail in a particular area with large parking lots, those areas can be affected a little bit more so than smaller neighborhoods where you have narrow streets and you have a lot of trees, and those areas just are a lot more comfortable at a time like this. So the reason that I bring that up in relation to looking for a home is that maybe it makes sense to think about the tree canopy of a particular neighborhood you're thinking of buying in. A lot of times buyers might get focused on just the house itself and how many bedrooms are there, how many bathrooms, how many, does it have a backyard, does it have a pool, does it not have a pool, all these things which are great and are important, and you want to be able to have those as well. But tree canopy, I think, does matter. And if you are able to buy in a neighborhood where it's just, if you look at the satellite map, it's kind of a good way to get an idea of what that neighborhood might look like. It might be a darker green color than some of the newer neighborhoods where they've literally just kind of bulldozed everything in the last year. So even if they did aggressively, plant trees, you don't necessarily see that on the satellite. But then you can also see, if you look at a neighborhood that's been around for 5 years, well, you can look at the satellite and you can see, how many trees did they really put in, and is it just one tree in the front yard, nothing in the backyard, and so it just looks like houses and Bermuda grass. And that can be okay, and maybe that's the right choice for you. So I'd like to look at some neighborhoods that have just a better tree canopy, more biodiversity, and as a result of that, they also have more walkability. Even in this heat, you can walk in a neighborhood like that because there's shade for you to protect you as you're walking down the sidewalk. So let's take a look at some different neighborhoods. I'm here at Arlington Heights, and You can tell it's have a lot of trees. If it's really shady, you can tell that this is a plant person kind of neighborhood. There's a lot of biodiversity, and folks in this particular area spend the money on plants and trees and making sure that their garden beds are full of variety. So you can see here, you got a brand new ginkgo tree. Look at that. How about that? That's pretty cool. I was just learning about ginkgo trees and the male variety versus the female variety, and one of them doesn't smell too good, so gotta make sure you buy the right variety. But let's see if we can find another neighborhood with a good tree canopy. So now I'm walking through Mistletoe Heights, and again we got a plant person neighborhood, so lots of mature trees, lots of good gardens, big giant Japanese maples there, old historic homes. So very, very walkable even on a sunny day like this where it's 100 degrees out. Looks like there's a lot for sale over there. I believe it's in the 400,000s range. But anyhow, this just feels so much better than standing in the middle of a parking lot with the sun beating down on you, which I suppose that's an obvious statement, but it is interesting to think about just kind of the compounding effect, where if one person does it on the block, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. But if everybody on the block does it, now you've created something really nice and enjoyable. Alright, still in Mistletoe Heights, just walking a little further, and this might be an interesting project to follow. They've tore this thing down to the bones, and that's all that remains is basically just the facade of the house and a little bit of the bones. This is Berkeley Place, and yet another example of lined streets. These are some old live oak trees. Same era really as the Mistletoe Heights neighborhood, but I mean it feels great. So much better than with that sun blasting down on you. All right, still in Berkeley Place here. So yeah, anyways, some beautiful homes here. Obviously you got the old trees, which is it's a difficult thing to try to create a landscape like this. I mean, it's just interesting because you can't really create it for yourself, but you can create it for the next generation, I suppose. Or if you're really proactive and you plant trees immediately when you move into a new house, and 5 years later maybe there's a little bit of a canopy, but several decades ago, someone, or even longer, I guess some of these houses were built in the 50s and 40s and 30s, so I don't know if these trees are that old, but I suppose it's possible. Okay. This house on the corner, it's just a really interesting one with the red rooftop, and it's got a little fountain. So, anyhow, anytime you can walk under a canopy that like covered on both sides, it's a little arbor. It's a pretty neat experience. So, I mean, look at this gate. It's just amazing. They got a gravel driveway in there so that the water can kind of drain through. Got the desert willow. And this is a very unique fence. Looks like cedar posts. I didn't realize Berkeley Place was so nice. How about this? Alright, so now I'm walking through a sunny parking lot, and it's a little windy. Man, yeah, it's a big difference being here in this parking lot where there's no trees, no shade, no nothing, versus the shade of some of these neighborhoods. So let's get back to the... Here is Elizabeth Avenue, and this is one of the top streets in Fort Worth, and these are all kind of in the 1 million range, 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. But this is another example of just lots of mature trees, lots of great gardens, lots of historic homes that have been here for a lot of years, and great estate sales on this street. If you're an estate sale person, this is a good spot to keep an eye on. So anyhow, this is the kind of the conclusion of the video, and so yeah, the urban heat island effect is a real thing. I don't know that anybody disputes it. It seems pretty self-evident that it is really hot when you have a bunch of concrete and asphalt, highways, parking lots, and when you add in a lot of trees and green spaces, it cools things off. So yeah, if you're interested to know what other neighborhoods in Fort Worth share a similar characteristic, looking to buy in a neighborhood like this, definitely love to connect. So until the next video, hope you have a good rest of your day. Yeah, and that you would be blessed. Alrighty, bye bye.